Hello one and all, welcome to Seen Through Glass. Welcome back to my Welsh adventure in this Porsche 911 GT3. I really should have expected, well, mixed conditions, or at least this weather. Yes, it's August, yes, it's officially summer, but this is England, this is Wales. Dry, sunny days here, few and far between, hence why I like to often do international road trips. Whilst there are epic driving roads here in the UK, the weather often ruins them. But we're not going to let it dampen our spirits, because I have the keys to a GT3, and I have to say, I am slowly and unsurprisingly falling in love with this thing. I'm not sure there's a better road car in existence in terms of attacking the road. Now the only thing is, this car is equipped with Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres, so if those sort of slight dark and gloomy clouds break and we get a proper downpour, I am going to have to take it very easy. But for now, things are remaining relatively dry, which means out here in Snowdonia, so basically the north/northwest part of Wales, we can have some fun as long as I get out of this junction all right, which I think I've done. We're away. That soundtrack, I mentioned it in the video from a few days ago when I collected this car from Porsche UK. It's intoxicating and it never ends, and there are so few modern cars that sound this good. That naturally aspirated 4-litre engine, it just sings and it implores you to push on and on and on. And I always shift too early. You've got to remember, this thing goes to 9,000 RPM. And on a road like this, which is relatively smooth, the car just feels perfectly set up, perfectly balanced. On a slightly bumpier road, gets a little bit firm, I have to say. The car squirms around all over the place, but the minute the tarmac looks anything like a sort of race circuit or snooker table, you just want to push on and on and on, and you just know it's going to grip and keep going. Look at this! Glorious! Please, rain, please hold off. Whether it does or doesn't. Today's a bit of an exploration day, whilst of course I want to be finding some amazing driving roads to really enjoy and exploit this car on. I'm also going to be exploring Wales. It's been a few years since I've been up and around Wales, especially this part, and there's tons of things that I want to see. You know, most of the time I try and convince you that this isn't a travel channel, but this is essentially a travel channel, you know, aided by the fact that I use cars to get to and from the various places I want to visit. So yeah, we're going to be indulging in that today. I've got some tips from some viewers of cafes, coffee shops, farm shops to visit, but also places of interest, and I've earmarked some properly decent roads to use in between those various stops. I mean, come on! I hope this is coming across on camera, because this car is just a dream! Now you may think that I've transported myself to Positano, Italy, or to the set of The Wizard of Oz, but I promise you I'm still in Wales. This is Portmarion, basically created by an architect called Clough Williams Ellis. It's kind of a passion project. He bought this site in 1925 and spent 50 years turning it into this, and it was kind of just to show that you can basically make anywhere beautiful, or a beautiful spot even more beautiful. Basically, it's just an insane creation. You can walk around, there's tons of things to see, things hidden in sort of nooks and crannies, beautiful views over the bays and things like that. There are cafes, there are restaurants, a ton of people just taking it in, because it's the maddest thing I've ever experienced. About 15 quid to get in, to sort of walk around and admire it. But look at that, I mean, honestly, I could be in some Italian Alps city. It's absolutely nuts. Let's keep exploring. So there you go, there is Sir Clough. He became a Sir, I guess, for his other architectural work, or maybe just the architectural work of Portmarion, and he got presented a lion by his mates. It's a pretty cool thing to get presented, isn't it? Now, I think, like me, most people that come to Portmarion come for a couple of hours to look around, take in the sights and be kind of blown away by how mad this place is. Can actually stay here. There's a sign on that gate saying residents only. There's a couple of self-catering cottages, there's even a hotel here. So you could set up camp and spend a few days in Portmarion, which I think would be a bit weird when you wake up. I think it would be a bit disconcerting. You'd be like, where am I again? But if the weather were better, kind of why not? It's kind of mega and amazing, and that bay out there is insane. And this view, I mean, imagine waking up in one of these cottages and looking out on that. Oh, it seems like I might have timed that perfectly because the rain is just starting to come down a little bit heavier. Huge thanks to everyone that recommended Portmarion. I genuinely loved that place. So wacky, but so cool. Anyway, I think it's time for lunch. I'm getting a little bit hungry. So I've got about a 45-minute drive back across some decent roads to Rug Country Farm Shop. So yeah, let's go check it out. Now, I have to admit, there were lots of things on that menu that caught my eye, but before coming here, everyone was recommending the burger, so that's what I went for. I think award-winning farm, or at least award-winning meats here at the Rug Estate. The actual sort of cafe restaurant wasn't open, so it's takeaway only at the moment, but at least it allows me to sample what apparently is going to be a very good burger with some good fries. So, here we go. Taste, test. Oh, actually, hold on a sec, I'm weird. Get rid of the tomatoes. Get rid of the onions. That's how I like my burger. Basically, meat and bread. 2 seconds. It's good. Well, it feels like the weather is getting worse, so I thought I'd quit whilst I was ahead, come here to my hotel for the night. Palais Hall near Bala, Lake Bala. I think my Welsh pronunciation is all off. It's supposed to be like a 5-star hotel built in the 1890s, so worth spending some time in. Tomorrow I'm heading south towards the sort of Elan Valley and well, a bit more of the coast and, well, just hopefully some more epic driving roads. Give me a chance to talk about the manual gearbox that GT3 is equipped with, but I'll save that for tomorrow. Well, good morning. I tell you what, very few things beat the excitement of being on a road trip, knowing you've got a car parked outside the hotel that you cannot wait to get back in and keep driving. I've never eaten my breakfast as quickly as I did this morning. Weather's still a bit grey and grotty, but as I mentioned before, we're headed south today, down towards the Pembrokeshire coast, and I know it's supposed to be drier and a bit nicer down there. So yeah, let's crack on. Well, unfortunately, the weather hasn't got any better. If anything, it's got a little bit worse. I've been in the car for about an hour and a half now, heading south, and yeah, I got caught up in quite a few storms, so much so that at one point, steam was pouring off my front radiator because water was gushing in so much, I thought the car was on fire. A little bit nerve-wracking. So no, I pulled over for a quick coffee and a refreshment just to try and let this storm pass, because every time I look at my weather app, it tells me it's going to be dry, or it should be dry by now, so it's clearly passing through. This hasn't passed through yet. I have to say though, the GT3 is pretty impressive in these conditions, and also at slower speed. It's always been my one concern with any GT3, let alone the new generation, that it would be too stiff, too firm, too twitchy, just on an everyday use. But yeah, especially with those Cup 2 tyres, it should be all over the place, but it's not. I've got the music blasting and cruising along and looking out the window and finding really nice coffee spots. So yeah, I'll enjoy this do some posts on Instagram, etc., hit the road, and then hopefully by that point, most of the rain would have blown through and I can head to the Elan Valley region, which is kind of the main stopping point I want to do before I head properly south. So wish me luck. Well everybody, welcome to the Elan Valley. Top Gear fans, you may recognise where I'm standing right now, because it's the dam that Richard Hammond was winched up in a Land Rover many seasons ago. This place is absolutely breathtaking. This isn't the only dam in the valley. I think there's like 6 of them, maybe even more. I did do some research before I got here. Now I've got no phone signal, so I can't bring that research back up, so I'm a little bit clueless. But the scenery around here is mind-blowing, and it changes so much. You know, you just move 500 meters down the road and it goes from super tall trees to open wide valleys to these quite insane dams. I'm not very good with height. The driving roads aren't, well, they're incredible for taking in the views, not great for fast driving. You know, they're all narrow, bumpy, tight. You know, you don't want to do a lot of speed, but you can just cruise around and just take in this glorious scenery. Wales is just, it's not an undiscovered gem. Everyone knows it's stunning, but I often forget how stunning it is, and the more I move through Wales, the more scenery I'm kind of reminded of, or just smashed in the face with. This continues to get more and more epic. Also, speaking of epic, how cool does a GT3 look atop a dam? Who knew that was a thing? But this needs to happen more often. Now, one thing I haven't been able to talk about with this car yet is the fact that, of course, it's fitted with a manual gearbox. Nothing new for the GT3, and in fact something very old. There was only one time when Porsche decided to not offer a manual gearbox for the GT3, and well, that didn't go down well, so they corrected that. And yes, now, like the previous generation, you can spec your car either with the PDK or the manual. And now for the 992, even if you choose the touring specification, which essentially is a GT3 without a wing these days, that's literally the only difference, you can also have PDK or manual. You know what, before this test drive experience, I'd assumed that if I was lucky enough to get a slot on a 992 GT3, I'd probably go for the PDK. Whilst, look, Porsche haven't increased the power substantially with this new car, I often find a lot of the sort of modern stuff, oh, there's a big cliff to my left-hand side, mate, so interesting. Yeah, I find with a lot of these modern cars that actually the auto option sometimes suits the car better. You can just extract more of the potential, and actually that sort of thought was proven to be true recently when I drove the PDK GT4, which I'd always assumed would be in its best kind of configuration with the manual box, but I really enjoyed driving the PDK car. So yeah, before this test drive I was like, I would go with a 992 GT3 touring specification with the PDK. Now, I don't know what to think, because this manual is still fantastic. And people often say that, you know, the PDK is one of the best automatic gearboxes out there. But I think we have to say in the same breath that this 6-speed manual from Porsche is one of the best manual gearboxes out there. It's so nice, the way it moves through the gearbox, the throw of the actual gear lever, it's all perfect, and it's so rewarding when you shift gear. And the thing is, and this is going to sound a bit odd, I think it helps me from going too fast. You know, when you're in a PDK, it's all so easy that you're just constantly at the red line and just bashing through the gears left, right and centre and building terrifying speed. But because the gear change in this car is so rewarding at any point in that rev counter, I can kind of poodle along but still feel engaged and still enjoy the driving experience without, well, going off the side of this cliff into the valley. So look, it's going to really come down to personal preference now. If you're doing a lot of track days and if you're in a car with the wing, I think maybe PDK still will be the route to go. This is going to be the ultimate version of the car, and I think as Porsche intended it to be, come back to that in a second, if you're going touring, I need to drive the PDK to see what it's all about. I would be super hard pushed to choose. But let me just come back to what I just said, because I actually think Porsche want you to choose PDK. And there's a very specific, very un-Porsche reason, like a shockingly un-Porsche reason why I say that. Let me pull over, because I need a prop and I need to explain. Now bear with me here because we're going to get a little bit nerdy, a little bit niche. But anyway, here is the gear selector for the manual gearbox. Lovely looking thing, very nice to hold. Actually, if you get the PDK option, it looks very similar, which I think is a clever idea by Porsche. So you might be thinking, okay, cool Sam, what's the issue? Well, let me present Exhibit A. A cup holder. Now in the prior generation GT3s, well at least in the 991, which came before this car, cup holders were sort of up in the dashboard, concealed, hidden away, one on the far left for the passenger and then one closer to the kind of main console for the driver, and you just push a button and they'd pop out, and there you go, very effective. They weren't the best cup holders ever, they didn't hold things fantastically, but they did the job and everything was easy and you could carry on. So I go, right, well they've moved it down here for some reason. The passenger cup holder's in the same place, so not sure why the driver's one has moved here. And that wouldn't be a problem if I had to shift gear all the time. Hence why I think Porsche want you to get a PDK, because I now have a lovely water bottle. Let's face it, the majority of the time in a car I'm drinking coffee, but we're gonna use water right here. And it's a rather large bottle, I will admit, but the proof is in the pudding. So there's my water now being held in its cup holder as it should be. Could be a hot drink, don't want it to spill. So I'm there, let me get back into position, driving along, and I go, I want to switch gear. What is this, Porsche? What? Now, I know you're going to be going, oh, come on, Sam, what are you on about? This makes a huge difference, because when you're driving fast, you actually can't handle the gear knob well. So you can miss time shifts, and also I don't want to snap anything, I don't want to break anything, and it's uncomfortable. When I had a coffee cup in here, I ended up having to shift gear like this, like up in here, and it really, like, this is such an un-Porsche thing. Porsche don't do these kind of things by mistake. They don't go, oh, guys, we forgot about the cup holder. I don't know what this accent is. Let's skip past it. But yeah, they don't forget stuff. This is an afterthought, because let's face it, I mean, you can take that out, I think, but this wouldn't be an issue if it was PDK, because then just put it into drive and off you go. You've got your flappy paddles. So you don't have to be messing around down here. And you might be going, oh, well, just use the passenger one. I tried that. I'm driving along the road and I'm having to reach over here, trying to find my coffee, then not spill it. And if you've got a passenger, there's no excuse. There is no excuse. This is not good. Not good, Porsche. Anyway, nerdy rant over. Let's carry on.
I was driving down the coastline. I had no thought of destination. I was just hoping it would make me feel fine. I guess it was some kind of contemplation.
You're probably not going to believe it's the same day or even the same country, but it is the same day and I am still in Wales. A bit like yesterday when I visited Portmarion. This is the Welsh seaside and, well, it's as dramatic as everywhere else I've visited in Wales. This is Freshwater West Bay, or well, maybe it's called Freshwater West. It was an old smuggler's spot, so basically pirates and smugglers like that would come in and use little coves and caves all along this kind of coastline to hide things in and I guess then smuggle them into the country. Today it is so windy I can't actually step outside. I've managed to get a couple of shots, but to try and do a piece to camera out there, not going to happen. So I'm in the sanctuary of this car, and well, it's just true to form what I said a few days ago in my first video of this car. I want to spend every waking minute in this thing because I just think it's perfect. Honestly, the more time I spend with it, the better and better it becomes. And I'm not sure there's a car that I can think of that would be better to do what I've done with it today. Porsches can just take such abuse. They're so usable and so fun, and that engine and that exhaust, there have been so many moments where I've gone, it's so good, this car. And look, of course, there are things that are more dramatic, and there are things that sometimes pull on my heartstrings a bit more. Those with a prancing horse, well, an Italian prancing horse on the front, as an example. But as a tool that can do nearly everything in kind of the perfect way, but with enough emotion to make it feel special and exciting, this new GT3 is everything I hoped and wanted it to be. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't worry, there's more content to come, more GT3 content to come tomorrow. Well, no, I'm going to film it tomorrow. I'll be going live in a couple of days, so make sure you stay subscribed, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future GT3 content. And yeah, if you've enjoyed today's video, give it that thumbs up. I'm going to sit here and enjoy the view a little bit longer.